नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयति अखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान् नमो भगवते कृष्ण. Has Prabha Mataji joined?
Mataji irke Mataji.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, repeat that.
Hare Krishna. So it's nice that Krishna has given us the opportunity again to go through the Bhagavad Dhyana Sopanam, the steps of meditation on the various beautiful limbs of the Lord. It is said that when Ravana had captured Sita and she was in Ashokavana, every day he used to come and speak to her, somehow to win over her. And because Ramana is a great mystic personality, he can even change the forms. Whatever he wants, he can do. And he would try so many tricks to attract Sita Mata so that she will marry him and be with him or whatever. So at that point of time, I have heard this from Maharaj one of the times that somebody suggested to Ravana that, see, you are trying to attract Sita and make her agree to be with you. Why can't you change it? Because you are a yogi, you can change your form to Lord Rama's form, So once you change over your form, then Sita will be attracted towards you like that. Then Ravana said, don't you think I don't have the intelligence to do that? I tried that also. But supposing if I want to change over to Rama's form, what I have to do is to first meditate on the particular form. So when you want to change over, even a yogi, whatever forms he has to change over, first thing is a meditation has to be done. Everything starts from our mind, right? So any activity do also, what we do first, we think with the mind. And then only we are able to enact the activity. So when I start meditating on Lord Ram's form, the moment I start meditating on it, I become, the position of Sita Mata becomes like a Jagat Janani for me. So I cannot approach her with any wrong motives. So in this way, I become completely purified just by trying to meditate on Lord Ram. So I don't want to make a meditation on that particular form of the Lord. Like that he was telling. So that is the potency of meditating on the Lord's form. So that is what we are trying to do. And Bhagavatam is very, very beautiful to give us these nice shlokas which help us to very thoroughly describing the various limbs of the Lord in a very descriptive manner, so that we can very nicely and consciously meditate on the various parts of the Lord. So now we will revise the verses from 3.28.21 up to 26. I think we have done. So first we will revise that. I will lead and Prabha Mataji will follow me. Sanchintayet bhagavatascharanarvindam.
Sanchintayet bhagavatascharanarvindam.
Vajrankushatvajasarorugalanchanadhyam.
Vajrankushatvajasarorugalanchanadhyam.
Uttungaraktavilasannakhachakravala.
Uttungaraktavilasannakhachakravala.
Jyotsnabhirahatamahhridayandhakaram.
Jyotsnabhirahatamahhridayandhakaram.
Read translation.
The devotee should first concentrate his mind on the Lord's lotus feet, which are adorned with the marks of a thunderbolt, a gourd, a banner, and a lotus. The splendor of their beautiful ruby nails resembles the orbit of the moon and dispels the thick gloom of one's heart.
Go to 3:28-22. Yachaucha nisrita sarit pravarodakena.
Yachaucha nisrita sarit pravarodakena.
Tirthena murdhni adhikritena shiva shivo bhut.
Tirthena adhikritena shiva shivo bhut.
Dhyaturmanashamalashailanisrishtavajram.
Dhyaturmanashamalashailanisrishtavajram.
Dhyayechiram bhagavatascharanarvindam.
ध्यायेच्चिरं भगवत चरणारविन्दम्. Translation.
Yes.
The blessed Lord Shiva becomes all the more blessed by bearing on his head the holy waters of the Ganges, which has its source in the water that wash the Lord's lotus feet. The Lord's feet act like thunderbolts hurled to shatter the mountain of sins stored in the mind of the meditating devotee. One should therefore meditate on the lotus feet of the Lord for a long time.
328, 23. जानुद्वयं जलजलोचनया जनन्या
जानुद्वयं जलजलोचनया जनन्या
लक्ष्म्याखिलस्य सुरवन्दितया विधातुः
लक्ष्म्याखिलस्य सुरवन्दितया विधातुः
पूर्वोर्निधाय करपल्लवरोचिषायत्
पूर्वोर्निधाय करपल्लवरोचिषायत्
संलालितं हृदि विभोरभवस्य कुर्यात्
संलालितं हृदि विभोरभवस्य कुर्यात्. Translation. The yogi should fix in his heart the activities of Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, who is worshipped by all demigods and is the mother of the Supreme Person, Brahma. She can always be found massaging the legs and the thighs of the transcendental Lord, very carefully serving him in this way.
328, 24. So now we move on to the thighs of the Lord. Uru Suparna Bhujayoradhishobhamana
Uru Suparna Bhujayoradishobhamana
Ojo Nidhi Atasika Kusumavabhasau
Ojo Nidhi Atasika Kusumavabhasau
Yalam Vipita Varavasasi Vartamana
Vyalam Vipita Varavasasi Vartamana
Kanchi Kalapa Pariram Hihitam Bimbam
Kanchi Kalapa Pariram Vinitamba Bimbam. Translation. Next, the yogi should fix his mind in meditation on the personality of Godhead's thighs, the storehouse of all energy. The Lord's thighs are whitish blue, like the luster of the linseed flower, and appear most graceful when the Lord is carried on the shoulders of Garuda. Also, the yogi should contemplate his rounded hips, which are encircled by the girdle that rests on the exquisite yellow silk cloth that extends down to his ankles.
328, 25. Now we move on to the Nabi of the Lord. Nabi Hradam Bhuvana Kosha Guhodarastham
नाभिह्रदं भुवनकोशगुहोदरस्थम्
Yatratmayo Nidhishanakhilalokapadmam
यत्रात्मयोनिधिषणाखिललोकपद्मम्
Vyudham Harinvani Vrishastanayoramushya
व्यूढं हरिन्मणिवृषस्तनयोरमुष्य
ध्यायेद्वयं विशदहारमयूखगौरम्
ध्यायेद्वयं विशदहारमयूखगौरम्. Translation. The yogi should then meditate on his moon-like navel in the center of his abdomen. From his navel, which is the foundation of the entire universe, sprang the lotus stem containing all the different planetary systems. The lotus is the residence of Brahma, the first created being. In the same way, the yogi should concentrate his mind on the Lord's nipples, which resemble a pair of most exquisite emeralds and which appear whitish because of the rays of the milk white pearl necklaces adorning his chest.
328, 26. वक्षोधिवासं ऋषभस्य महाविभूतेः
वक्षोधिवासं वृषभस्य महाविभूतेः
पुंसां मनोनयननिर्वृतिमादधानम्
पुंसां मनोनयननिर्वृतिमादधानम्
कण्ठं च कौस्तुभमणेरधिभूषणार्थम्
कण्ठं च कौस्तुभमणेरधिभूषणार्थम्
कुर्यान्मनस्यखिललोकनमस्कृतस्य
कुर्यान्मनस्यखिललोकनमस्कृतस्य. Translation. The yogi should then meditate on the chest of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the abode of Goddess Mahalakshmi. The Lord's chest is the source of all transcendental pleasure for the mind and full satisfaction for the eyes. The yogi should then imprint on his mind the neck of the Personality of Godhead, who is adorned by the entire universe. The neck of the Lord serves to enhance the beauty of the Kaustubha gem, which hangs on his chest.
I think this is what we saw in the last class, So up to this, we have seen. Now we are moving on to the next limb of the Lord. And in the last class, we were seeing the story of pastime of the Bhrigumuni who tried, he was testing all the, he went to Brahmaloka, he went to Shiva, Kailasha, and he tried to do offense to them through the mind, words, and body. That's what we saw. And he kicked on the chest. I didn't finish the story. That's why I thought I'll finish it. So in this way, he could understand that by the reciprocation shown by Lord Vishnu, he started massaging the foot of Bhrigumuni and said that now Lakshmi Mata will never leave me, even though she is Chanchala, because this chest has been purified because of the touch of your lotus feet. So in this way, Mahavishnu glorified Bhrigumuni, and they all understood that how much the Lord is able to tolerate any provoking situation. That is why Prabhupada writes also in Krishna book that once greatness is assessed by the ability of a person to tolerate any provoking situation. So it will be very good when situations are good is okay. But when a provoking situation is there, how much we are able to tolerate, that is the measure of our greatness. That is what Vishnu has shown here. And so they all decided that Lord Vishnu is in the mode of pure goodness and they started worshipping him. That is what the story pastime means. And it is also said in some of the Puranas that this Mahalakshmi was a little offended in the sense not because it is her position and Bhrigumuni has kicked. And not only because that as a wife, as a very devoted wife, she could not tolerate seeing her husband being kicked at the chest by Bhrigumuni. So any wife cannot tolerate this disrespect being shown to her husband. That way she felt that I had been a witness to this great offense. So I have to purify myself by doing some tapasya because when somebody or some Vishnu or Lord Vaishnava is being blasphemed, a devotee is not supposed to sit there patient and just watching it. We should not do that. Either we have to close our ears, not to hear the offense, or we have to move away from the situation. Or if we have the courage to do it, we can even kill the person who is trying to offend. But in this position, the person who offended is Bhrigumuni, a Brahmana. So he cannot be offended by just again by like a revenge. So Mahalakshmi thought that I have been witness to this offense of being my husband being disrespected in my presence. So it is said in some of the Puranas that she left the place. She left Vaikuntha Loka and she went to the place called Kolhapur, as you know. It's called Karaveerapuram. And now it is called, I think, Kolhapur. That is why Kolhapur is very famous for its Lakshmi temple. And then the Purana story goes that Lord Vishnu then comes down, in searching for her and not to get united back. And that is how we have the story of Tirupati Balaji. So he comes down, and then we have and then she is again born as Padmavati, and all these Puranic stories are there. So just to end that particular passage because I left it like that. So that's why I thought I'll conclude it. And now we move on to the next beautiful verse, meditating on the arms of the Lord. Okay, Mataji, follow me. बाहुंश्च मन्दरगिरेः
बाहुंश्च मन्दरगिरेः
परिवर्तनेन
परिवर्तनेन
निर्णिक्तबाहुबलयान्
निर्निक्तबाहुवलयान्
अधिलोकपालान्
अधिलोकपालान्
सञ्चिन्तयेत्
सञ्चिन्तयेत्
दशशतारम्
दशशतारम्
असह्यतेजः
असह्यतेजः
शङ्खं च तत्
शङ्खं च तत्
करसरोरुह
करसरोरुह
राजहंसम्
राजहंसम्
बाहुंश्च मन्दरगिरेः परिवर्तनेन
बाहुं च मन्दरगिरेः परिवर्तनेन
निर्णिक्तबाहुबलयानधिलोकपालान्
निर्णिक्तबाहुबलयानधिलोकपालान्
सञ्चिन्तये दशशतारमसह्यतेजः
सञ्चिन्तये दशशतारमसह्यतेजः
शङ्खं च तत्करसरोरुहराजहंसम्
शङ्खं च तत्करसरोरुहराजहंसम्
Let's read the synonyms first, then translation.
Bahun, the arms, Cha and Mandaragirehe of Mount Mandara, Parivartanena by the revolving, Nirnikta polished, Bahuvalayan the arm ornaments, Adhiloka Palan the source of the controllers of the universe, Sanchintayet one should meditate on, Dashashata Aram the Sudarshana disc 1000 spokes, Asahya Tejaha dazzling luster, Shankham the conch, Cha also, Tatkara in the hands of the Lord, Saroruha lotus-like, Rajahamsam like a swan. Translation: the yogi should further meditate upon the Lord's four arms, which are the source of all the powers of the demigods who control the various functions of material nature. Then the yogi should concentrate on the polished ornaments which were burnished by the Mount Mandara as it revolved. He should also duly contemplate the Lord's discus, the Sudarshana Chakra, which contains 1000 spokes and a dazzling luster, as well as the conch, which looks like a swan in his lotus like palm.
Very beautifully now, Mataji will show the picture. You have to meditate on the arms of the Lord, holding these Sudarshana Chakra, and then we have the Shankha. These two things are concentrated in this verse, and we meditate on the Bahu or the arms of the Lord. That is why many verses, if you see, Krishna is addressed as Krishna Krishna Mahabaho. We say, Bahu means the arms. So you can see the beautiful picture wherein see Krishna is holding the Sudarshana Chakra and the Shankha. So we have to meditate on the arms of the Lord. And Prabhupada very beautifully writes in this verse, it is Adhiloka Palan. Adhiloka Palan means it is the source of all the powers of the demigods who control the various functions of the material nature. So the demigods who are controlling the various affairs, where do they get their power from? Adhiloka Palam. So they get it from the arms of the Lord. So that is why even now in the material world also we see the wrestlers also, no? They just show your arms, we say, no? So whenever we want to represent the strength, they just slap their arms or show their arms to show how powerful I am. The children also show, no, I am very powerful like that. So the arms always represent the source of all the powers. So we can also see that there is the Kshatriyas. The Kshatriyas are supposed to have emanated from the arms of the Lord. That is what Purusha Shukta says. Bahum Charajanya Kritaha, it says. So the Kshatriyas are emanating from the arms of the Lord. So that is because the arms have the ability to give protection to the living entities. That is why the duty of the Kshatriyas is to give protection to all the living entities by protecting them from all the disturbing elements which are in the universe. That is why we see the administrative class. They are called the Kshatriyas, and mostly the Kshatriyas only become the kings because they have the great responsibility of giving protection to the citizens of the world from all the disturbing elements. That is why the word Kshatriya itself means in Sanskrit, Kshatat Trayate iti Kshatriyaha. Trayate means always to deliver or to save, protect a person. Shatat means from all the injuries or from all the mischievous personalities. Shata means mischief or some disturbing element. It is called Shata. Shatat Trayate. They protect because the Kshatriyas protect the living entities from all the disturbing elements. They are called the Kshatriyas, and we can see from Srimad Bhagavatam in various places it is mentioned that the Kshatriyas emanate from the arms of the Lord. So that is why the arms always represent the protective power. The power of protection comes from the arms of the Lord. So that is why we can also see, when we embrace another living entity, with our arms. So when we embrace, it gives a feeling of great protection, that embrace. This is possible because the protective power is coming from the arms of the Lord. So whenever we think of the Lord, we can very peacefully think that the Lord is protecting us with his arms. Bahum Mandaragire Parivartanena. And what is that Bahu wearing? Nirnikta Bahu Balayan. Bahu Balayan. Even in Tamil, we have the word Valayal. I don't know it's Hindi or whatever North Indian language, but we have the word Valayal, which means bangles. We call it Valayal. So Bahu Valayam. So he is wearing some ornaments in his Bahu. If you can see now, you can see nice, beautiful ornaments he is wearing. These are bangles. And how? What are they looking? They are looking very dazzling. How? Nirnikta. It is as if it is newly polished. It is always looking like a newly polished ornament. How? And they give the very beautiful example. It is given. Mandaragirehe parivartanena. How they have become like polished? The polish has been somebody has to do the polish, no, rub it nicely. And how the polish has been done for his Bahuvalaya? It is done that when the churning of the ocean is going on. What happened? They put the Mandaragiri, and then Lord as a Kurma avatar was serving as the pivot. No, he was lying down as a pivot, and Mandaragiri was placed like a rod, and then they were churning with the Vasuki snake. So while churning, what is happening? The rotation is going on. So the rotation is going on. What is happening? The polishing takes place. So if you move again and again, the friction is taking place. No, by the friction, what is happening? The area which is being the friction is going on. The area becomes nicely polished. That is why if you see even the mosaic polish we do, it will rotate. You know, just like the Mandaragiri rotation, the machine will move around, and that way the mosaic is being polished. In the same way, the Mandaragiri has just like a mosaic machine. It has polished all the ornaments which this Kurma avatar and his Kurma avatar is wearing, all the Bahu Valayas. They have become nicely polished. The yogi should further meditate upon the Lord's forearms, which are the source of all the powers of the demigods who control the various functions of material nature. Then the yogi should concentrate on the polished ornaments, Nirnikta Bahuvalaya, polished ornaments which were burnished by Mount Mandara as it reward. Then he should duly contemplate the Lord's two things now. So in the last verse, we saw two things, no? Srivatsa and Kaustuba. Here again, another two things. One is the Lord's discus, which is the Sudarshana Chakra, which contains 1,000 spokes and the dazzling luster, and a dazzling luster, and then the conch, the chakra and Shanka. These are the two things which are being meditated here along with his arms. So here it says Sanchintayet. Sanchintayet is a word we are very familiar because the first verse of the Bhagavad Dhyana Shopanam also begins with the word Sanchintayet, means we have to meditate upon it. Dasha Shata Aram. Dasha, as you all know, is 10. Shata also, you know, 100. So 10 into 100 is 1,000. So 1,000 is represented very beautifully in Sanskrit as Dasha Shata. Aram means spokes of the wheel. No? In the wheel, there are so many spokes. That is called Aram. In Tamil also, we call it as Aram, like that. So Dasha Shata Aram. So it has 1,000 spokes. And Asahya Tejaha. It is very brilliant, dazzling brilliance is there. So we cannot even look it with our naked eyes. It is impossible. And thousands of suns, if they get up together, such amount of dazzling brilliance is coming from the Sudarshana Chakra. So this regarding the Sudarshana Chakra, there is a nice pastime which we will see from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So this Sudarshana Chakra is a very, very dear instrument, which is very, very dear to the Lord. So Sudarshana itself means what? Su means very beautiful. Darshan means to have a vision or to see, no? That is Sudarshan. So it is very beautiful to look at. Sudarshana, the chakra, is a very beautiful personality to look at. And this Sudarshana also represents the glance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sudarshana. Krishna's beautiful glance itself is called Sudarshana. If Krishna's glance takes a personification form, that becomes the Sudarshana Chakra. That is why this Sudarshana is very, very dear to the Lord. Because for all of us, the eyes are very dear, you know. Even we say, no, we'll take care of the children. She is the apple of my eye, like that we say, no. And even in Tamil, we say, Kannikku kanna, we have to take care like that. So this eyes are very dear to us. The same way, which means Sudarshana Chakra is a very, very dear personality, very, very dear to the Lord. This that is why the 9.5.4, there's a beautiful verse. Mataji can show the picture of the Sudarshana Chakra. See, Krishna Sudarshana Chakra. He's fighting with the Sudarshana Chakra. You can see there is a very beautiful verse. And this was in the moment we remember Sudarshana Chakra, the first pastime which comes before our eyes is the pastime of Ambarish Maharaj. Correct? So when Ambarish Maharaj was insulted by Durvasa Muni said that you have broken the fast, even though he just drank a little water, that you have broken the fast. And before I came, like that, he became very angry with him and he sent a fiery demon. He plucked a hair from him and then he put some mantra and a fiery demon was emanating from that. But Sudarshana Chakra, which was lying in the puja room of Ambarish Maharaj, this very dear chakra was handed over by Lord Krishna and it was allowed Sudarshana Chakra to be placed in the worship of altar of Ambarish Maharaj. So immediately Sudarshana Chakra understood the intent of the Lord. There is no direction required. No, Sudarshana Chakra understands the intent of the Lord. And then he went chasing behind. The fiery demon was destroyed. And then he also went behind, chasing behind Durvasa Muni, who was moving here and there to all the three planetary systems, seeking shelter. And at the end, he said that Krishna said that this is not under my control. You have to go and take the apologies, and you have to beg for your offenses. Apologies. You beg apologies from my devotee, because aham bhakta paradinaha yaswatantra yuvadvijaha. I am not independent. I'm completely dependent on, and I'm being controlled by my devotee. That is what Krishna says. So in that is why then Ambarish Maharaj makes a beautiful prayer to Sudarshana Chakra that please don't give any harm to this Brahmana. That is what he prays. He says, Sudarshana namastubhyam sahasrarachyuta priya sarvastraghatin vipraya swasti bhuya idaspate. He says, oh most favorite of Achyuta. See the word? Oh most favorite of Achyuta. He says, no, Achyuta Priya, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You have thousands of spokes. Sahasra Ara. Sahasra means Sahasra also means thousands. Thousands of spokes. Oh, master of the material world, destroyer of all weapons, original vision of the personality of his. He is the vision. Original vision of the personality of Godhead. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Kindly, I'm not able to see. Auspiciousness to this body, which means he is requesting Swasti Bhuya Idaspate, which means he says that be auspicious, don't bring any harm to this Brahmana. So this Sudarshana Chakra, what happens is a nice pastime. Again, this is the first pastime we will remember. Another second pastime which we can remember about Sudarshana Chakra is about the is connected with the pastime of Paundraka Vasudeva. So we saw in the one of the classes that this Paundraka, he imitated Lord Krishna, Vasudeva. He said, I am only Vasudeva. You are not Vasudeva. This Sudarshana Chakra, Shanka, everything belongs to me only. So he fitted two more additional wooden arms, and he was fitting some Sudarshana Chakra, imitation Sudarshana Chakra, imitation conch, and he was telling that I am only Vasudeva. And then this personality came for battle with Krishna. He said that I'm going to kill you in battle and take away all your Sudarshana Chakra from you. And Krishna was heartily laughing seeing this personality who has put all these imitation things on his hair for body. And then they had a fight, and we saw that Paundraka was killed by Krishna. Then this Paundraka had a friend who is the king of Kashi. So he was actually coming under the shelter of king of Kashi, and he was fighting, standing on the in the city of Kashi only. And the Kashi Raja also fought along with Paundraka against Lord Sri Krishna. So what happened? Krishna killed Kashi Raja also. After killing Kashi Raja, Krishna threw the head of Kashi Raja into near the city gate of the city of Kashi. So he threw the head, and then the head was inside near the gate of the city. And everybody was seeing that some head is there. They couldn't identify what it is. And then they a little observed, and they saw that there were some nice kundalas were there in the air. They thought that maybe this is the head of Krishna, because Krishna is the enemy of king of Kashi. This our king has, I think, he has killed Lord Krishna, and Krishna's head is thrown here for all of us to see how victorious our king is. Like that, they came near, but they found to their surprise that it was not the head of Krishna, but it was the head of the king of Kashi. And then what happened? This king of Kashi, they were all very much, bewildered by seeing this. And that king of Kashi had a son. His name was Sudakshina. And this Sudakshina became this is Sudakshina, okay? Sudakshina became very angry with Krishna, and he consulted all the Brahmanas. And what should I do now to get rid of Lord Krishna? They said that because they were not very good Brahmanas, they suggested that you do some black ritualistic ceremonies. And I think in Kerala and all, they call it Abhicharam or something. So it is a black ritualistic ceremonies you conduct. And by that, what will happen is that you can produce a fiery demon, and that demon, and it can go, and whoever wants to be killed, you just tell the mantra, it will go there, and that demon will kill that personality. Only thing, that person should not be a very qualified Brahmana. That is the only condition. So you do like this, they said. So they were thinking that Krishna is a Kshatriya as of now. And Krishna, as we all know, he is the Aham Sarvasya Prabhu. But now, because of ignorance, he did all these black ritualistic ceremonies, and he prayed to Lord Shiva also. Shiva, he was a great devotee of Lord Shiva. As we all know, the Kashi Pura, the Ishvara, is Lord Shiva. No? There is a beautiful Vishwanatha temple there. So he was a great king of Kashi. He was also a devotee of Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva also agreed for this, and he said that I will send my Bhutaganas, the Gosri companions, for help along with you. You go like this, he said. So this he did the ritualistic ceremony, and a fiery demon who was looking very ugly. He was naked. He had a long teeth, and his eyes were coppery. His head, hair, his mustache, beard, everything was a copper color. Like that, a very fiery demon came out, and he was holding a shula in his hand. And with this shula, with this very ugly picture, he was presenting himself. And along with the ghostly Bhuta Ganas of Lord Shiva, he rushed towards the place. This demon rushed towards the place where Krishna was there. So he was moving towards Dwaraka, and all the Dwaraka Vasis were seeing that this fiery demon is coming. They became all afraid, and they all rushed to the shelter of Krishna. Krishna, Krishna, Mahabaho. They went and seeking the shelter of Krishna. At that time, Krishna was playing nicely chess in the Sudharma Assembly Hall, And then he heard this plea of this residents of Dwaraka. He said, "Don't worry, residents. I will take care of everything. You please be peaceful." Like that, he said. And then he just gave instructions to Sudarshana Chakra. As we all know, Sudarshana Chakra understands the intention of the Lord very well. So Sudarshana Chakra immediately rushed towards the demon. And we all know that Sudarshana's effulgence is more powerful than the power of the fiery demon. And the fiery demon could not stand himself before the Sudarshana Chakra. So he made a U-turn. The Sudarshana Chakra, that fiery demon, made a U-turn, and it went back to the place from where, the original place from where it came, that is the king of Kashi. Because the nature of all these Abhichara spirits, it is called Dakshinagni, it is called. The nature of the Dakshinagni spirit, evil spirit, is that if it is not able to attack the target, it will attack the originator only. So it goes back to the city of Kashi, and then he very pathetically it kills all the Brahmanas who help in the performing that black ritualistic ceremony, everybody, and even Sudakshina himself was completely killed by that Dakshinagni. But Sudarshana Chakra went chasing this Dakshinagni, and it also entered inside the city of Kashi. And Sudarshana was very angry at the time, and it completely burnt the whole city of Kashi. So that is why even in the records, if you see historical records of the city of Kashi, it says that the city of Kashi was completely burnt one time, and then it was revived back again. It came back again, it is said. So it is also historically correct that the city of Kashi was burnt 5,000 years back when Krishna was there. It is there. Records are there. So in this way, the city of Kashi was completely burnt by Sudarshana Chakra. And Bhagavatam says that it is very, very auspicious to hear this narration. That is why I narrated the full story. And it gives the Parashruti is given by Shukadev Goswami. And Shukadev Goswami says that anybody who hears this pastime is completely relieved of all the sinful reactions. So that is why there is a very beautiful verse, the Sudarshana Ashtakam, which is written by one of the Sri Vaishnava Acharyas, Vedanta Deshika, is a very, very famous Acharya. And this he has written the Sudarshana Ashtakam, which is very, very powerful mantra, the 8 verses. And even this during these pandemic times, it is very, very auspicious to recite these stotras, because Vedanta Deshika wrote this stotram in order to get rid of an epic fever epidemic which was present in a place called Tiruputkuri in down south Tamil Nadu. There is a place called Tiruputkuri, and there the whole village was affected by an epidemic those times, 500 years back. At that time, Vedanta Deshika has written and sang this Sudarshana Ashtakam to relieve all the residents from this viral epidemic was there. So it was completely, all the residents were saved by chanting of this Sudarshana Ashtakam. And it also says very nicely, Nijapada Prita Sadgana Nirupati Spita Shadguna Nigama Nirvyudha Vaibhava Nijaparavyuga Vaibhava Hariha Yadveshidharana Harapura Plosha Karana Jaya Jaya Shri Sudarshana Jaya Jaya Shri Sudarshana. It says, no, Harapura Plosha Karana. Harapura means the city of Lord Hara, Shiva's city. Shiva's city is nothing else other than Kashi. Kashi is called Shiva's city because we have a beautiful temple there of Lord Vishwanatha there. Harapura Plosha Karana. And Sudarshana Chakra, you are responsible for burning the city of Kashi. So this is the grandeur and the effulgence and the majesty of this Sudarshana Chakra. There are various stories. Even have the story of Jayadratha being killed. No, at that time also, Lord Krishna, how he covered the effulgence of the sun, it also covered the sun with the help of the Sudarshana Chakra. So all these various pastimes are there. And now we move on to the next instrument, which this verse is talking about in the 23, 28, 27, and that is the yes. Yes, this is the conch. So this is the verse says it is just like a beautiful white swan, and that is the beauty of the conch. So this conch also, we have a nice pastime. How it comes, there is a nice pastime from Srimad Bhagavatam. And we all know Panchajanya is the name of the conch shell. No, in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, I think 15th verse it says, no, Panchajanyam Krishikesho Devadattam Dhananjayah Poundram Dadmo Mahashankam Bhima Vrikodaraha. How the name Panchajanyam comes, there is a very nice pastime in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Actually, what happened? Krishna was a student under Sandeepana Muni, was learning all the Vedas and all the 64 arts. Everything he learned, it says, in the 64 days, he learned everything. So all the art forms were learned by Lord Krishna as a student. So Krishna shows that he also is living like a student under the Gurukula of Sandeepana Muni. After finishing the studies, Krishna and Balram, they want to offer a Guru Dakshina because the Guru has to be offered some Dakshina at the end of the studies. He requests Sandeepana Muni, please ask for some Guru Dakshina. And as Sandeepana Muni, he knows the value of Krishna. What is, because he knows that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all these things. So he does all the Atimanusha, means supremely superhuman activities he is capable of performing. So whatever I ask should be equivalent to that. No, supposing if you go to the, supposing you are given audience to the king or president, and then you can ask anything you want. Will you go on? Will we go and ask you, please give me a set of dozen kerchiefs we want you give? We will not ask, So according to the capacity of the person who is, and the power of the person who can give what he wants, what he can give. To that extent, we can ask. No, that is why this Bali Maharaj is also chastising Vamana when he comes and he asks he says, I want 3 pieces of land. And Bali is very angry, no? He says, to whom you are coming and what you are asking. I am the controller of all the 3 worlds, and you are just asking a 3 pieces of land, and that too with a small footstep. So that is why I think you are a ignorant person. You are very innocent. You don't know what to ask from whom, he says. So that is why here we can find that Sandeepani Muni is very intelligent, because he's otherwise how can he be the spiritual master of Lord Krishna himself? So he says that. Then Bhagavatam very nicely says he goes and consults with his wife what to ask. No, that is the intelligence. No? Goes and consults with his wife, what should we ask from this Krishna, who is telling what Guru Dakshina he wants to give something. And then she requests that let him bring back my dead sons. No, she lost her son when he was playing near the beach shore of the beaches in what is it place? Prabhasa Kshetra in Dwaraka. Near Dwaraka, Prabhasa Kshetra, the son was lost because it was absorbed by the ocean waves. I have lost my son. Yeah, if Krishna can bring back my son, that is the best Guru Dakshina he can give. So this way, he consults with his wife, and then Sandeepani Muni comes and requests, tells Krishna that if it is possible, please bring back my dead son. Immediately, they not even for a second, Krishna thought. Both of them, they sit in the chariot and move to the Prabhasa Kshetra, the ocean. And then standing on the banks of the ocean, Krishna is ordering the ocean to bring back the son of my spiritual master, who has been swallowed by you like that. And then the ocean, the personified ocean, the Deva in charge, the Varuna Deva, he comes and then he falls at the lotus feet of Krishna and Balarama. And he says that, Krishna, I know that you are wanting that for the son, but actually it was not that he was not swallowed by me. He has been carried by a demon called Panchajana, who is living in the depths of my water, and that he is a great demon. I have no control over the demon. And that demon has taken the son of your spiritual master. And then immediately Krishna dives deep into the waters going in search of that Panchajana demon. And then he catches hold of Panchajana demon. And this Panchajana actually is a demon now. But in previous Janma, he is a devotee. Somehow or the other, by some shapa, some curse, he has taken a demonic form now. And then he breaks open the stomach of Panchajana to see whether he has swallowed the son of his spiritual master. But he finds that inside the belly of Panchajana, nothing was there. So, but anyway, Krishna has killed the demon, which means it gives the demon gets a liberation. And then his body, the body of that demon is just like a conch shell. So that is why Krishna removes that conch shell from the body, the conch shell covering portion of the body of Panchajana, and he takes it and he keeps it as his personal conch shell. And that is why the name of the Panchajana, it has come out from the demon called Panchajana. That is why it is called Panchajanya. And then carrying the conch shell, Krishna immediately now knows, now this personality, now this boy, spiritual master's son, must be only in Yamaloka. That is the place. So immediately he goes to Yamaloka along with Balarama. And there, the moment he enters Yamaloka, just to announce the arrival of him, immediately he blows that conch shell. So you can see how nicely Krishna is blowing the conch shell. So Krishna blows the conch shell. On hearing the conch shell, Yamaraja immediately comes running and then offers obeisance to Krishna. And then immediately Krishna orders him, this son of my spiritual master is with you on account of his karma only. Because unless the karma is there, Yamaraj would not have brought him to Yamaloka, because he is Dharma Raja. He follows all the religious principles. But anyway, Krishna said, write all his karma in my account. Now release that boy. Now I want to carry him back to my spiritual master. Now this, you accept my order and do these things. And Yamaraj, definitely, he is a Mahajana. He's a great devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Immediately he takes the boy and hands over the boy to Krishna. And in the Skanda Purana, it's very beautifully written that when Krishna blew the conch shell standing on the doorstep of Yamaraja, to have the audience of Yamaraj, what are the results of his blowing of conch shell? It is very beautifully written in Skanda Purana. It says, Asipatravanam nama Shirnapatram ajayat. What happens to the various hells? Now, if you go to 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there has got a description of the various, I think 26 or something, different hells are there. And it says what happened to these different hells. What is the change that happened just by hearing the sound of the conch shell of Krishna? Asipatravanam nama Shirnapatram ajayata Rauravam nama Narakam Arauravam abhuddada Abhairavam Bhairavakyam Kumbhipakam Apachakam. It says the hell known as Asipatravana, there is a hell called Asipatra where sharp leaves will be there to torture the living entities. That Asipatravana lost the sharp sword-like leaves on its trees. It is all vanished now just by hearing the conch shell of Krishna. Then Rauravam Nama Narakam Arauravam. So in the hell called Raurava, there is a beast called Ruru, which will give torture to the living entities. But what happened by the sound of the conch shell? The Raurava hell became free of the Ruru beast. And then the Bhairava hell lost its fearfulness. Abhairava, Bhairavakyam. Bhairava itself means fearfulness. It became Abhairava, which means it lost all its fearful qualities. And then what happened? All the cooking stopped in the Kumbhipaka. Kumbhipaka is the place where in a very big vessel, where too much of hot oil is there and the living entities are being roasted. That cooking completely stopped. Kumbhipaka Apachakam. So all the cooking stopped in the Kumbhipaka hell. Papakshaya tata sarve vimukta naraka naraha padam avyayam asadya. It goes like this. So thus all the sinful reactions were eradicated and all the inhabitants of hell attained liberation and approached the spiritual world. See, just on the pretext of bringing the dead son of his spiritual master back, how many living entities were delivered? The Panchajana demon is delivered and he became Panchajanyam. And all the living entities at that time who were all in the hell, they were all delivered. So this is the Karunya of Krishna. And then again we have a beautiful verse in 1st canto, 11th chapter, Mataji showed here, 1:11:2, where Krishna comes back to Dwaraka after all his pastimes in Astirapura. The war is over. Yudhishthira has taken over as the king and everything is over, and he returns back to his kingdom of Dwaraka, and how the residents of Dwaraka were eagerly awaiting the return of Lord Krishna. So Krishna knows that they are missing him so much, during the whole time when he was in Hastinapura, all busy with all this Mahabharat war and all. So he wants to announce that he has come, he wants to announce his arrival. That is why even before entering into the city, Krishna very nicely blows the conch shell, so to announce his arrival. And even in the Mahabharat war, what we saw in the Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna sounded the conch shell, what is the reaction of the other party, the Kauravas? It says, Sagosho Dardara Shranam Hridayani Vyadarayat Nabascha Pitrivim Chaiva Tumulo Vyanunadayan. Just by hearing the conch shell, the hearts of Dhritarashtra's children were completely shattered because they became very fearful. But here we can see the same conch shell, the same Krishna, he is blowing the conch shell. But what is happening, you will say, Savuchakashe dhavalo daro daro Pyarukramasya dharashona shonima Dadmayamanaha karakancha sampude Yatabjakhande kalahamsa utsvanaha. In the verse also we see, it's like a Raja Hamsa. The conch shell is just like a white, beautiful swan. Here it says, the white and fat-bowled conch shell, being gripped by the hand of Lord Krishna and sounded by him, appeared to be reddened by the touch of his transcendental lips. You can see the red luster in Krishna's lips has passed over to the conch shell. So it seemed that a white swan was playing in the stems of red lotus flowers. And Prabhupada, if you see later, if you can see, now we don't have the time. If you go home and then after the session, you can go through, open this 1:11:2 of Srimad Bhagavatam and read the beautiful purport written by Srila Prabhupada, how he compares the touch of the lip of the Lord to the lotus and the reddening color of the Shankha. It is compared to the touch of the matter with the spirit, and how the matter becomes spiritualized because of the touch of the spirit, that is Krishna and Krishna's spark. Okay, there is again another next verse. Mataji 111.3 is there? Yes. So, and then what happened when they heard this beautiful conch shell blowing by Krishna? Tamupashrutya ninadam jagadbhaya bhayavaham pratyudyayuhu praja sarva bhartru darshana lalasaha. See the reaction here? We saw the reaction in the Kurukshetra field when Krishna blew the conch shell, how the hearts of all the Kurus were completely shattered. Here we see the reaction of the citizens of Dwaraka, who are all Bhartru Darshana Lalasaha. They were very eagerly awaiting the return of Lord Krishna. It says, the citizens of Dwaraka, having heard that sound, which threatens fear personified in the material world, Jagat Bhaya Bhayavaham, began to run towards him fast, just to have a long desired audience with the Lord, who is the protector of all the devotees. So just by hearing the same
अभी मैं
concept,
नीचे में काम कौन करेगा भाई ये
is coming, and then what is happening? But the reaction of the devotees is different from the reaction of the non-devotees. That is what we see. And there is a very beautiful purport in this to this 111.3 also. These two purports are very, very beautiful for us to understand and contemplate. In the 111.3, I will just read the last paragraph of the purport, how this conch shell sound of the Lord is giving us so much of protection. And the same way, the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra is not different from the sound produced by the conch shell. It says, the sound of the Lord is identical with the Lord, as we have tried to explain by the non-dual position of the Lord. The material existence of our present status is full of fear. And this we all agree, correct? This is a very true statement. The material existence of our present status is full of fear. One of the four problems of material existence, namely the food problem, the shelter problem, the fear problem, and the mating problem. It is ahara, nidra, bhaya, maithuna. This is all the four problems he says. The food problem, the shelter problem, the fear problem, and the mating problem. The fear problem gives us more trouble than the others. And this is all we are experiencing now. Correct? The most foremost fear, most problem for us is not the other things, but the foremost problem is the fear problem. We are always fearful due to our ignorance of the next problem. Now, what is the cause of our fear? Because we do not know what is going to be the next problem for us. The whole material existence is full of problems, and thus the fear problem is always prominent. This is due to our association with the illusory energy of the Lord, known as Maya or external energy. Yet, all fear is vanquished as soon as there is the sound of the Lord, represented by his holy name, as it was sounded by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the following 16 words: Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We can take advantage of these sounds and be free from all threatening problems of material existence. So whenever we chant this verse, meditating on the Shankha and Chakra of the Lord, we can just remember these words of Srila Prabhupada, that this conch shell sounding by Krishna and this sound of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra vibration are non-different, and they are capable of taking us away from this fear problem by putting us in the spiritual atmosphere. So now we move back to the same verse. We will repeat it once more for all of us to revise. 3:28-27, Mataji. Yes. Prabha Mataji, can you please follow me?
Yes, Mataji.
Bahum Shaman. Now reciting, now we know the meaning, correct? So now when you are reciting back after me, please remember these meanings. Now meditate on the meaning. Bahum Shamandara Gide Parivartanena.
Bahumscha mandaragireः परिवर्तनेन
Nirnikta Bahuvalayana
निर्णिक्तबाहुबलयानधिलोकपालान्
Sancintaye Dashashataramasahya Tejaha.
सञ्चिन्तये दशशतारमसह्य तेजः
शङ्खं च तत्करसरोरुहराजहंसम्.
शङ्खं च तत्करसरोरुहराजहंसम्.
So thus we are seeing nice past tense associated with every verse. So whenever we are chanting the particular verse, we can try to remember these past tense of the Lord, and it will be a nice meditation for us. Okay. Thank you. Now we move